Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Engineer Your Energy. I'm Caroline Milton, owner of Milton Coaching Collective, and I help individuals and organizations build better toolkits for stress and to help prevent burnout and increase their productivity. Each week, I come live across multiple platforms to talk about ways that either we as an individual or we as an organization can increase resilience, can increase performance, and increase fulfillment. Now, if you've been tuning in with me over the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about the key differences between stress management and stressor management. And the fact that so many of us focus way too much of our time, energy, and effort on stressor management, and we're not paying attention to our actual stress. That is the physiological impacts of our stress. And that's what keeps us stuck in the state of stress. We just think, oh, if I can eliminate the cause of my stress, then I'll be fine. But the truth is that there are physiological impacts happening to your body, happening to your brain, happening to your productivity. And we got to deal with all of that as well. So today I want to answer the question of, how do I begin to deal with my stress? How can I begin to close that stress loop, that hormone cycle that initiates when we have an input of an external stressor? So let's dive right in. 3 ways that you can begin to better manage your stress. That is to close that stress loop. Far and away, the best and most productive way of doing this on a regular basis is physical activity. I know we harp and harp on the importance of exercise in our overall wellness and well-being, but the truth is there's nothing that quite does the job as well as physical activity does. And guess what? It does not matter what kind of physical activity you enjoy most. Getting physical activity in, that is getting your heart rate up, experiencing a little bit of that increase in heart rate and a little bit of sweating is going to help with closing that stress cycle. And here's why. It replicates the sequence of a stressor and it comes to a finite conclusion. So we're closing that stress loop when we complete our exercise, whatever that is, dancing, CrossFit, if you like doing that, jiu-jitsu, maybe it's going for a brisk walk, whatever it is that you enjoy doing as a form of movement that again can increase your heart rate and get you into that moderate to high intensity space, you're going to reap the benefits of that. So if you have already a method of movement that really does the trick for you, try to bump that up in terms of how consistent you can be with getting that movement in. Now, I do want to put a little asterisk here because we have to look at our overall levels of stress when we are in a state of burnout. So, if we are in a place where we're chronically in a state of stress, where our sympathetic branch of our nervous system is always activated, we need to be gentle with movement. So, we need to skip the really high intensity exercise and we need to be gentle with our movement instead and kind of build back up to a place of moderate to high intensity. So, what do we do in those situations? Or what do we do if we just can't find physical activity that really works well for us? There are other ways that you can close your stress loop. One is through creative expression. I know that there are plenty of you out there who would say, I'm not an emotional person. I am not emotional at all. But the truth is, we are all emotional. Human beings by nature are emotional. The thing is that you may be blocking the expression of certain emotions, but you may then be compensating with the expression of other emotions, whether that's overcompensating with a lot of happiness that feels insincere, or anger or aggression, because we don't want to come off as being too emotional. That is, maybe we're crying a lot. We're dealing with those emotions. And the fact of the matter is, those emotions are an important part of closing our stress loop. Acknowledging fear, acknowledging guilt, acknowledging shame, acknowledging those kind of yucky, uncomfortable emotions is important as we're moving through this on a daily basis. So if, crying maybe isn't your forte, if you're struggling with that, try some creative expression, because creative expression can help us to kind of tap gently into some of those emotions and explore them in a way that feels a little safer for us if we're unfamiliar with how to explore those emotions. So, creative expression in any form, whatever comes natural to you, even childlike play can be a form of a creative expression. So, if you like to draw, if you like to play music, if you like to write poetry, whatever that thing is for you, do that on a consistent basis and notice how it may impact your emotional well being as a result. So that's number two. And number three is deep breathing. Now, with the deep breathing, this is oftentimes a go to for us when we need a quick interruption of our stress or when we just need to top off, just kind of cut the top off of our stress a little bit. This is not going to be nearly as effective as perhaps the physical activity or creative expression is going to be. But breathing helps remind our body and our brain that they are in a place of safety. The thing is, when human beings developed, when we evolved, we were experiencing very specific types of stressors, right? They were a threat to our survival. That's what our nervous system is responding to, is a threat to our survival. But in our modern day, we experience a lot of stressors that are really stressful, but that don't, in fact, threaten our survival. Our body doesn't know the difference. So, when we practice deep breathing, when we practice other forms of mindfulness, we are reminding the body that it is safe right here, right now, right? That there is no imminent threat of death at hand. That maybe we're doing our taxes, or maybe we're dealing with an unruly child, that there's nothing there that is going to put our life in danger. And when we do those deep breaths, we remove ourselves from that primary emotion, right? And we can calm ourselves down in the present moment. It might be really helpful as you're practicing deep breathing to repeat to yourself, I am safe here. I am safe here. This is a safe moment, because your brain recognizes that, but your body or perhaps the animal parts of your brain is not recognizing that. So one of my favorite breathing practices is a 5-5-7 breath. I've demoed it here numerous times, but what that entails is an inhale of 5 counts and then holding your breath at the top of the inhale for 5 counts, followed by a long controlled exhale for 7 counts. Repeat that anywhere from 3 to 10 times and notice how it impacts your overall stress levels. So those are 3 go-to ways for interrupting your stress cycle and making sure you're closing it on a daily basis and becoming better at managing your stress. Now, those are just beginner tools, right? There is a variety of different ways that we can continue to build really effective toolkits for managing stress. If you want to learn more, go to miltoncc.com. You can book a free consultation with me where we go over your burnout prevention plan and identify key ways that you can begin to shift your experience of stress and begin to build more tolerance to stress as you move throughout your day. If you're an organization, you want to learn more about how to build productive, high-performing teams that are less prone to burnout, you can reach me at Milton CC as well. We'll talk about your own corporate burnout prevention plan and what we can do to ensure that your employees feel safe and that your employees are as productive as possible. That's it for this week. I will be back next Thursday at our same time for our next episode of Engineer Your Energy. Until then, be well.